guys, welcome back to my channel and to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing quite a large unhaul. As you can see from the two gigantic stacks next to me, I have gone through my shelves and decided to unhaul a few books that just don't serve their purpose anymore. I don't want them in my home and I think they'd be better off elsewhere. Some of these I've read, some of them I haven't. So yeah, I'm just going to dive straight in and tell you why I'm getting rid of these books. Let's start with the big stack here. I have a stack of Colleen Hoover books. We have Reminders of Him, Ugly Love, November 9, All Your Perfects, and It Ends With Us. Somewhere in this stack, hang on, we also have It Starts With Us. I gave both of these 5 stars. I really enjoyed them. These not so much. I have done a Colleen Hoover reading vlog, like a 24-hour Colleen Hoover reading vlog on my channel. And you know, I didn't love most of the books, so it won't be a surprise to many people that I'm unhauling this little stack. But even the ones that I did enjoy, I know a lot of people hate Colleen Hoover's books and think they're bad. I think they've done a brilliant job of bringing new readers into the community, and that's always brilliant. We love people buying books, supporting bookstores, reading when they haven't read in years. So I'm happy that Colleen Hoover's brought new readers into this space. But for me personally, I've read these, I enjoyed them. I don't see myself ever rereading them, even like the ones I really enjoyed. I think I'm good, and I don't think they're the most unproblematic books. So for me personally, rereading them again, it's just not something I want to do. So yeah, my first 6 books to go. Next up, if you watch my Yal haul, this won't be a surprise either. XOXO by Axio. I said in my haul that I should never have bought this. Like, I knew I shouldn't have bought it. I knew it wasn't my thing, but I was caught up in the Yalk hype of buying. And so, yeah, I did end up buying this one. I really shouldn't have. And I was going to read it thanks to the fact I already owned it, but I have decided, like, time's too short. I've got too many books on my list that I actually want to read. So I'm just going to get rid of this, even though it is signed. I just don't really have an interest in this book, so why am I keeping it? I don't want to force myself to read books this year. My New Year's goal was quality over quantity, and this would not be doing that. This would just be reading it for the sake of reading it, so I'm passing this on. Next we have Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. Again, I hauled this in that video and my interest has not left. I still really want to read this book. It sounds amazing. I'm very sad to be getting rid of it, especially the fact it's very floppy. However, upon mentioning it on my channel, Lauren thankfully let me know that there was some controversy with this author that I hadn't heard of, and so I had a little look into it, and I don't like what they did at all, to be honest. And so I don't really want to read this. I know I already own it, so my thought process was I already unfortunately spent my money on it. I'll read it and then not rate it on Goodreads. But this is the first in a series, and then if I end up loving this, I cannot read the rest. So for me, I would rather be blissfully unaware, even if I was to love this. I'd rather just let it go now and pretend it doesn't exist. The next one is The Sacrifice by Rin Chapeko. I read this when I was in Centre Park. There is a reading vlog coming, or recently out, I'm not sure which one. I DNF'd this. It was not good in my humble opinion. I've never read a Rin Chapeko before, and I've still had recommendations to read other things by Rin Chapeko, so I will do so. This one was not for me. I did not like the writing style in this at all. I only got to about page 67, but I just stopped mid-chapter. I was so over it. I was so done. The nicest thing about this book is the cover. It just kind of gave like TikTok writing. Like if you're reading a story on TikTok, you know, they do stories. It kind of felt like that. I just was not having a good time at all. I don't want this on my shelves, and I do not want to finish this book, so I'm passing this straight on. Next we have Every Time You Go Away by Abigail Johnson. I was sent this arc, so thank you so much to the publisher, but it's not one I think I'm interested in. The published date has already come out, but I just don't see myself reading it. Like, every time I go to my shelves, I completely go past this without even like contemplating it. But again, it's a really nice floppy book, so I'm like, I want to read it, but I'm not going to. I have so many books on my shelves, so many books on my Kindle Unlimited. You know, the possibilities are endless. The likelihood of me actually going for this, it's just not going to happen, so I'm going to let it go. On a similar note, we have Right Girl, Wrong Side by Ginny Bard. I picked this up maybe a year ago now, and it's a contemporary romance. It doesn't have the best reviews on Goodreads. It's got so many romance, like all of this bookshelf is romance and most of it's unread. I have my Kindle filled with romance. This one is not one I'm ever going to prioritise over any of the others. I've never read a book from this author, so I'm not like wanting to read it because I know I like their writing or anything. So I am again going to just let this one go to someone who actually will read it. Then we have Diary of a Bookseller by Sean Bissell. The only reason I'm getting rid of this is because this is the kind of book that I would read audibly. I don't read non-fiction physically, pretty much ever. I don't think I ever have, and I don't think I ever will. This is a memoir, a humorous memoir, but I would rather read this audibly, which I imagine the author would be the one to narrate it. I would imagine. I don't know that for sure, but in that case I would really like to listen to it audibly. And so I'm just going to pass this physical copy on to someone who would physically read it. Next we have Fair Rosaline by Natasha Solomons. This came out in August last year and I was very kindly sent the ARC. I did read it. I didn't enjoy it. I gave it 2 stars. I think the writing is very beautiful and I would be interested in reading from Natasha Solomons again. But the story was not my favourite retelling of, well, I guess Romeo and Juliet, but Rosalind's story. I just didn't love it and it wasn't really for me and I thought it was a bit slow. So I'm going to send this back out into the ether for someone else to hopefully love more than I did, because I know this was a really hyped release and a lot of people really enjoyed it. So yeah, maybe someone wants to collect the ARC. Is The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. I read this, I want to say last year. No, I think I read this in the summer and I remember really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars. Very gothic, very atmospheric. I remember bits of it and really liking it, but overall I do not remember this story. It's the kind of book that's gone in and straight back out again. Had a really good time with it. I'm really glad I read it, but I don't see myself ever reading this again, and considering I can't remember anything that really happens, I don't see the point in me keeping it. So I'm passing this on again to someone else who can get enjoyment out of it. It's not a bad book. I had a really good time. But yeah, I'm just not going to reread it and that's okay. Next we have Old Country by Matt Query and Harrison Query. This sounds really, really good. The synopsis sounds really, really interesting. But it's sat on my shelves for a little while, so I decided to look up some other people's thoughts on it. And the reviews have all said that this is really, really slow. A few people said it was really good, but like it took so long to get into the story. That is not something I particularly want. The storyline the plot gives kind of is something that I would want to be really fast, really speedy, really suspenseful. And based on the reviews, I'm not going to get that. So considering I have a whole shelf of horror I want to read, and again, more horror on my Kindle, I don't really see the point of keeping a hold of this one when I just don't need to. So I'm going to pass this on. Then we have Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. I read this, I liked it. I gave it 3 stars. The only reason I didn't love it was because I went in expecting horror, because I bought it from the horror section and it says in the back it's horror, you know. It's not, it's a paranormal romance. I don't see what the hell is horror about this. I think if I'd gone in expecting a paranormal romance, small town vibe, I'd have loved this. But I went in with the wrong expectations. Secondly, I listened to this on audio anyway. I don't see myself rereading it, but if I did, it'd probably be audio again. So as much as I actually love this cover, and I do have other Rachel Harrison books on my shelves, I just think that Rachel Harrison is not an author I want to collect physically. I've read quite a few of their books now and they've all been audio, so I don't really see the need to keep this physically when someone else could get something out of it that I'm not. Then we have The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I initially unhauled my original copies, then Connor bought this by accident and he said, do you want it? And I was like, yes, because I'm collecting the new covers. But then I came to the realization, now that we are 5 books into this series, I don't want to collect them. I have bought the newest Brothers Hawthorne book. I have it on my shelves in hardcover. I shouldn't have bought it. I will read it because I do want to read it, but I'm going to read it and pass it on. So I don't really want to keep this one on my shelves. And I don't want to go buying the rest of the series. Like, I did really enjoy the series, but I don't think I'm ever going to revisit the series now that I really think about it, no matter how much I enjoyed it. So I'm going to pass this one on again, because this is the second time I've unhauled this book. Then we have From the Embers by Ali Martinez. When I hauled this, I said about how wild the synopsis was and that I had to pick it up because I'm sorry, that was the most hilarious synopsis I've ever heard. And whilst yes, it is the most hilarious synopsis I've ever heard, the reality of it is I don't want to read this story. And also, not to sound negative, but like, it's saying that's taking TikTok by storm. I have read quite a few TikTok hyped books that we don't see over on BookTube, and not one of them have been a success. And then there's loads of books that are really hyped on TikTok that I've seen my friends read, like If We Were Liars and things like that, and not one of them has had a good rating. I don't think I want to do it. I don't think I want to get involved. It does have a great average rating. I don't think I'm missing out by not reading this book, so it's gonna go. Next we have The Making of the Modern Middle East by Jeremy Bowen. Again, I still want to read this. I just don't read non-fiction audibly. No, I don't read non-fiction physically. I read it audibly. So I'm gonna read this audibly. It does have some photos in here that obviously it's not going to have in the audio version, and I have looked through these already, and I will look through them again before unhauling so that I have reference in my mind for when I listen to it audibly. But the photos are horrific. The subject matter in this is going to be horrific. I don't want to keep this on my shelves to look at. I want to read it, consume the knowledge. I think it's more important that somebody else has access to this book, as I'm going to read it audibly anyway. Next we have Taste Like Shakar by Nisha Sharma. This was an arc I was sent like last spring and I have not read. It's just that I read the first book maybe last January or something. I didn't love it. I gave it 3 stars. Like, I had a good time. It was called like Dating Dr. Dill or something. I don't remember any of the characters in it, so I don't think I'd get a lot out of this. Whereas I think somebody else would really enjoy this, because I know that a lot of people liked Dating Dr. Dill a lot. So it feels like it'd be better off with them. Then we have All the Lonely People by Mike Gale. I still really want to read this. I do really want to read this. But it's one that, like, whenever I look at it on my shelves, I don't even think about it. I just brisk right past. Same as a few of these on here. I don't think this would be read physically. It sounds too sad. It's giving very much A Man Called Otto. So I think, well, I know I found the audio version, so I know I can read the audio version. I think that's the only way I'd consume this story, because every time I look at it on my shelves, I just don't look at it properly. So I do still want to read this. Again, I just don't want to read it physically. There's a theme here. Normally I would keep the books on my shelves that I want to read physically, but I'm just trying to be better this year, so I'm not. Next we have The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. I have heard a few things about Rachel Hawkins' books. She's a very famous thriller author, and apparently her books are good. That's why I picked this up, but to be honest, the synopsis doesn't intrigue me. I don't particularly care. I also find thriller to be a very hit or miss genre, and I'm now very fussy about what I pick up. I'd rather pick up a horror. So for me personally, I don't think if I was going to read a thriller, this would be the one I want to pick up. I tend to prefer YA thrillers, ironically, or, well, yeah, that's it. I don't really read thrillers, so it tends to be a YA thriller or a paranormal thriller. So I don't think I'm going to read this. It is super short, so it could be read too fast, but this year we are doing quality over quantity, so this one's got to go. Next we have I'm Not Done With You Yet by Jessie Satanto. Again, exactly as I just said, I know I just hauled this a few months ago, but I did not realise at the time that this was written by the Dial A for Aunties author. I did not really like that book that much. I thought it was very meh. Again, I'm very fussy with thrillers, just like I said. So do I see myself reading this? No, not really. So I'm being strict with myself. I have so many books. I'm being strict. It's gotta go. Then we have By Any Other Name by Lauren Kate, which is a romance I have had for, again, probably over a year, because it's set in New York and it like features New York, a tour of New York and all their favourite tourist spots. So I know I probably like it, but I have put this book on endless TBRs for myself. I've put it next to my bed endless times saying, right, that's your next read, and then I've not read it. I haven't even bothered. This is my punishment. It's gotta go. It can't just sit on my shelves anymore. but there isn't any reason that I'm getting rid of this other than the fact that I just have not read it. Then we have two books that kind of have the same reasoning, so I'll show them together. Firstly, it's Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams and Once More with Feeling by Alyssa Sussman. I own both of the first books of these series on Kindle, so When in Rome and Funny Feelings or something. Funny You Should Ask. And I don't really see the point of having a Kindle copy and then physicals for the second. This is the most stunning cover ever, so I really do want to keep this because the green is beautiful, the cover is beautiful. This one I'm not so bothered by because it's about famous people, and I don't like books about famous people, especially singers, and this is definitely about singers. So this one I don't really care about, but this one I'm very sad to be getting rid of. But I'm utilising my Kindle more this year. Next we have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. I was gifted this beautiful edition. It's the indie edition by Jade, and I have annotated the heck out of it. There is no reason for me to get rid of this book other than the fact that I'm giving it to someone. As much as I really enjoyed this, the subject matter was sad, and now that I've like consumed it, I don't see myself re-consuming it. Whereas obviously this is a very popular title, so there's members of my family that want to read it, so I'm going to pass this around to all of them. And I'm unhauling it now because I know full well somewhere along the line it's going somewhere that I will not be able to like track anymore, and it's going to be bye-bye. So it's best I accept that now. But yeah, this is the independent bookshop edition, and I absolutely think it's stunning and love it, but I just know that other people are going to read it, love it, and I want to give them that service. So I'm handing this over knowing it's not going to come back to me, but maybe miracles will happen. Then we have Flock by Kate Stewart. Not saying I don't want to read this, but I certainly don't want to read it physically. I believe this trilogy, is it a trilogy? Yeah, I think so, is on Kindle Unlimited, so I can just read it on there if I really want to. But I did see a spoiler for the end of this series, and I don't know if I want to read that. That sounds kind of sad. So this is a reverse harem story series, and yeah, I was really into the idea of reading it, but then I saw the spoilers and I was like, I don't know, I don't think so, I don't think that's for me. No. So I am going to pass this on. Maybe I'll read the series one day, but it certainly won't be physically. I also hate these covers, so it's going to go. And then finally for the last book, we have The Drift by CJ Tudor. This is the ARC edition. I do have the final copy up there signed, so I'm passing on my ARC. I've kept it because I really like owning it, I guess. And I still kept my Burning Girls ARC, even though I have my Burning Girls finished copy. But for this book, which I did really enjoy, minus some fat phobia, I just don't think I need two copies of it, so I am getting rid of the ARC, and hopefully someone else will love it. So those are all the 30 plus books I'm unhauling. I feel much lighter, my shelves look much clearer, and now there's space to buy more books. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I'm not buying books this year. I'm not buying books this year. Can I just say, I have had 2 books come in this year that were both pre-orders. I didn't buy them this year. I pre-ordered them last year, and that is amazing considering last January you may remember a haul of 50 plus books just in January alone, so quite impressed with myself. I do have a haul to film because I never did my Christmas haul, so I will be filming a haul, but yes, I'm so proud of myself. But thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.